Hello, hello, hello. So terrifying. Is it just hello, hello, hello? What is this? Oh, hey. There it is.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
It's like, what's going on?
Like, hello. Wait a minute. Like he's all insecure. he's like, but no.
Help me!
No.
Help me! Yeah.
Get pranked, boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it's
was gonna
Francis
say
in
that
chat.
was uncoordinated too. That was
God.
amazing.
That was
We
ridiculous.
didn't even talk about that. We just both like knew exactly how to fuck with you at that one moment.
Yeah, bastards, you rat.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. That was well done, boys.
Me and Brennan are dicks of a feather.
A1, dicks of a feather.
Yep.
I'll say.
Fuck together like.
Just while we're here, if you want to quickly toss us over to the battle map so everybody can see the horrendousness that is
Oh goodness.
that is a year like 2 years ago map.
I love the map.
I like this. I like the style a lot, actually.
I was gonna say I like that all of the assets are unique and individually drawn. Like I like the style of it as well. Like I would have loved a style of map like this for when I did the North Stirs because it would have fit the world better.
This is like Tolkien style, right? If I'm not incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Inspired by 100%.
Hell yeah.
It's very chill, but yeah, it's a lot more stylized than most of my newer maps. But yeah, this current campaign is going to be not like the previous one where it's going to be long form and it lasts as long as the characters live or achieve their goals. This one has a specific sort of end point, so I foresee it lasting about 4 or so sessions, and then after that we'll be moving on to another game. So just to let everybody be aware.
Yes, these characters are for funsies.
Yes, I mean not that Gideon wasn't for fun. Brendan.
Oh, Gideon was the most fun. Gideon would have been so much more fun if he would have gotten to level 10. Once Gideon hit level 10. It would have been Ogre, man. He would have just been the most pompous, disgusting ass. Would have been some swamp.
I'm sorry. What? No, so you're saying nothing would have changed?
I'm looking. I've been looking at the stream, and for like the last 2 minutes, Pajada's just been staring at his crotch.
Yeah. He's just.
Oh yeah. Just marvel. You gotta marvel, man. You gotta marvel sometimes,
just
man.
Beautiful, really.
Yeah, he's He's got to have that
What a
downy
time.
sort of. He's just got to have that like. Yeah. Yeah, exactly like that.
You dare question me?
Yeah.
I'm down here
So-
to shout me.
We've had a week to mourn. We've had our memorial.
Yeah, we have.
Dude,
Gideon
I'm still not over it. Gideon. Bastard imbecile. Every one of you are bastard imbeciles.
Hey now.
Especially the wolves and the crocodiles.
The crocodiles.
The
I'm glad you didn't have to
crocodile.
fight any crocodiles. You guys would have got fucked by crocodiles.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we would have. Dude, all I gotta say about that is there was bound to be a moment where Gideon couldn't carry a fight.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
You just didn't think it'd be so soon.
Nope.
Yep. Well, yeah.
Are we
Without
ready?
further
I
ado,
think we're ready. Yeah. So
Jump in.
to answer Zach's question, we have in fact already made characters.
Yes.
To save time,
It's because we didn't address this.
basically.
Because we decided we were going to start at level 11, and Shrep has a very in-depth character making process, especially with spellcasters.
Exactly.
by a very
takes him some
in-depth
time.
process, what he means is this: just
Hey, honestly though, shut up, Brendan.
look
Honestly.
at all these spells.
Okay, it only took me like 45 minutes to pick all my spells.
That is
all right?
not true. I was with you. That took at least 2 hours.
Okay, no.
You went to bed so late.
I think it maybe took me like
That's not me crapping on you, dude.
3
You
hours
went
to make
bed
the character.
incredibly late because you built a character for like it was 2.5 hours. You picked your spell slots.
I would argue that, but I have no proof to the contrary. So
Well, the only proof that you have is a disorganized inventory.
I have a very
a
organized
bunch of
inventory.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I'm just saying, who are you gonna believe, guys?
No
Gideon
faith.
or this imbecile?
No faith.
This bastard.
Yeah, this bastard.
Oh god. Oh my god, you have so much health, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, both of you have pretty
We
decent
do,
health
we
for
do
your
have a lot of
classes
health. Yeah, that's true.
and your con.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I think without further ado, we shall jump
yes.
into the game.
Let's do it.
So,
Do it.
let me set the mood a little by stopping that music and moving on towards better music.
Bigger and better things.
Heavy, slow footsteps. There is the dull thud of a human dragging themselves forward. Muttering. A dark, deep muttering. And the sound of something being dragged along the ground. There's just blackness. We hear nothing other than the staggered, pained breaths and the footsteps as they get closer to us. We begin to hear a drip, drip, drip. The occasional pitter-patter of liquid hitting the ground. And some fumbling. A flash of light hits us as fire emerges like the lighting of a match. Only this fire resides upon the fingers of an individual. Their fingers are pale, and they clutch a clear crystal as carefully as you would an egg made of glass. They bring the crystal close to their face, and their face becomes bathed in this orange light, which sharpens their features. It's a male, likely human, with black hair and sunken eyes. They seem to be gaunt and pale. Cold sweat runs down their brow as they frantically dart their eyes back and forth, inspecting the crystal. Behind them, we see them dragging with the other arm a human body. A woman being dragged slowly across the ground. Water drips down the individual's face from above, and they aggressively wipe it away. We see now, with the new sort of match light on this flickering across, dancing across these person's fingers, we see the light reflects the walls, and we see we are in a cave of sorts. It's a dark cave with little light other than the flames sprouting from the man's fingers. From the reflecting orange off of the walls, we see the walls are damp, maybe even slimy. The dragging movement continues for a while before the individual frantically stuffs the pocket back into his robe. It's difficult with the lighting to tell what state the woman is in, but it's most likely she's either dead or unconscious. Eventually, the individual stops, almost abruptly, staring onwards down the cave with sunken, possibly even with an ounce of fear in his eyes. He raises a hand with the flames on his fingers, and the flames begin to float off, continuing down the hall away from his hand. We lose sight of the man as he's enveloped in the darkness, and the flames continue onwards, and we see the cavern beginning to widen until it eventually comes to a strange underground room. The room is devoid of any decoration or light. Its floor seems to have been flat and smooth, but the walls are rounded like the rest of a cave, sort of like a snow globe. The only thing of note in this room is in the center, as the light approaches it. It's a bizarre stone obsidian obelisk, at the base of which is a black altar. The altar seems to reflect no light from the flames as they approach it, as if it's a void of space. The large black pillar, the obelisk above it, has strange runes carved into it, and it looms over the altar. The man dragging the body into the room further and further as he comes back into our view, into the light, towards the obelisk. He reaches down and carefully picks up the woman in both arms, her body limp. He slowly approaches the obelisk. The 5 flames flicker around him in a ring above his head, as if following him, looking down, observing what he's doing. Every step he takes closer to the altar and obelisk, he seems to physically shrink. He seems to grow paler and thinner as his skin seems to cling to bone. We zoom out slightly, and we get the full scale of the vastness of this room. Hundreds of feet all around, as tall and wide as a dwarven hall. yet as adorned as a wasteland. The person gently lays the body of the woman across the altar. The flames seem to shrink at the very presence of the altar, as if the light is diminishing them. And the woman's form seems almost radiant when against the black void of the table. Her blonde hair cascades down its side, and her white robe seems to almost just gently fold over the edge. The man places a shaky hand to his face. We see his arms are completely stained as his sleeve sort of drops down in this purple brackish blood. When he pulls his hand away, there is a stain across his cheek and brow of this purplish black ooze. A moment passes, then two, then a third of him looking down at the body. He stands over the head of the table, facing the opposite direction to her. The camera is placed behind him, but we see in the reflection of the sort of marble obsidian obelisk, we see a sad smile sort of stretch across his mouth in his reflection. And he leans in and he presses his forehead to hers. And another moment passes. We hear the staggered breaths of crying, and tears begin to form in the man's eyes. A strange sadness clearly passing over the scene as he has this sort of look of intense sorrow. Then the flame extinguishes. We hear a cry of anguish, which resonates and echoes around the blackness of the cave before fading out. The blackness settles for a while, and we begin to hear the sound of heavy rain, which assaults a couple of adventurers' journey west. The cloud cover is so thick it's as if there is a roof to the sky, casting blackness down below. Lightning splits the sky's roof and casts white light across the land below in a flash, illuminating the traveling group as well as their destination. A large town with dampened rock that shines against the lightning that tears through the sky. A cold, bitter wind whips damp leaves about the air, and the cloaks of the travelers billow as they grow closer to the small town, where they will be resting from their journey. A brief reprieve on an all-too-important mission. You begin to hear the rain drumming against the metal helmets of guardsmen to the town as they stand, some stalwart, some slouching. And the guardsmen, upon seeing the approaching travelers, nervously flex their fingers around their sword hilts. The town was on alert. Understandable, they'd been through a lot in recent times, and the gate was swung shut as a precaution. One guard appears to be dressed more formally than the others, wearing rain-slickened silver mail, which reflects the dancing firelight from the torches fastened to the city walls, fighting against the rain trying to extinguish them. Her fingers are wrapped around a polearm with gritty determination, and she raises the visor on her helm with one free hand, revealing a set of strong features and piercing emerald eyes that glare out into the night. "Halt, travelers! What business do you have in Nox?" she calls.
I'll step forward.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we amongst a group? I'm sorry, I don't know if you described that.
This is the two of you.
Just the two of us.
Yeah, we're just standing there.
Yeah. Okay, see, I'll take a step forward. Yes, we are. We are in fact here on account of a certain, employer of ours. Do I have the name of the gnome who employed us?
I think it's Archbine Heiston.
Archbine Heiston. That's interesting.
I will type it in chat for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Of one Archbine Heiston, and you will find that our papers are all in order, and I will take out our writs from him and our the third parties that have also signed off. Yeah, and I'll just kind of like try to shield the pages with my cloak as I show them to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you pull out your your paper, and she sort of like nods over to a guard who goes over and like grabs it, tries to quickly like pull it away from you, like so that you can get it underneath his cloak, like out of the rain, and then hands it to the woman who sort of like turns away from you and begins reading.
Yeah.
Man, everything is in order. Open the gates, just a crack. And she hands the sheets back to the guard who hands
Yeah. I'll take them quickly, kind of wring them out a little bit, put them back in my cloak.
them back to you.
I assume everything is in order?
I see no reason to stop you. If that truly is no forgery, then you are only here to help.
Indeed.
If you're looking for provisions, you'll find them here. She nods as the wooden large gates creak open with... You imagine that recently these have had to been used a lot since there is dirt and mud sort of like pushed by the sliding of the gate. Though you see that they probably have only started being used a lot recently. They didn't used to be used a lot, as there is... gates that have been used a lot have just like a completely clear path without like any dirt being pushed because they're used so often that it's not a problem. And yeah, you see that these have sort of all this sort of mud and wetness sort of like pushed out of the way, which means that in the like last week or so these have started being open and closed way more regularly than they used to. But yes. So Xandric, you turn around to say something to Varghul as the gates open, and as you look back, he isn't behind you. You let out a sigh, you turn back around and look towards the gate, and you see him leaning like against just the open crack, waiting for you.
You know you've got to stop
Spend
doing
all night in the rain. Come.
Yeah, I start walking toward him like, you must stop doing that. You know, we are a pair now. We must learn to work together.
Of course. My apologies. Red.
Damn assassin.
I kind of just gesture my arms over to you, like as a walkthrough.
Yeah, I walk on through. I just like wringing my cloak about and just making sure the hood is up as tight as it can be.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah. You rush through trying to avoid as much rain as you can. You hear the sort of like muffled pitter patter as it like splats onto your hood. But yeah, you head through the gates. A couple of the guards are like nod at you, and they seem to sort of like lax their grip on their weapons and let out of collective sigh. It seems like there's at least with the sort of entrance patrol, there's a lot of people on edge. And as you enter into the town, you see a large sign like in the ground at the side of the road, which has a picture which is hard to make out, but both of you I think have dark vision. Yep. So you're relatively fine, and you see a sign which has a blue, very dark blue, slightly faded painting of a dragon. And yes, there are various in this area. There are various fancier buildings, and you see sort of looming over in the as another crack of lightning goes overhead. You see looming over the town is this large sort of manor house made out of stone, more like a fortress than a manor. But all the buildings in this area seem to actually be rather. The people who own them seem to do rather well for themselves.
I'm just paying more attention to the guards just as we're walking, just looking at all these, like, you know, some of them are just kids probably carrying spears with, you know, shields and stuff.
Yes.
Looks like they're getting ready for a war. I think we've arrived at just the right place.
I'd be looking at everyone other than the guards, funnily enough, like the women and children and just the people kind of trying to hide themselves from the rain.
Yeah, there are very few people out on the streets right now, just because it is such like terrible weather. But the people who you do see remind you are very sort of they carry themselves with the air of people who are desperate. Every movement they seem to be making seems to have an air of paranoia about it. and and most people like give you suspicious looking glances as you come past, sort of like with an air of fear.
I do not disagree. This is the time, the best time as ever, to make one's fortune in such a land.
We live long enough, that is.
Oh, I do not plan to die anytime soon, my friend.
But yeah, you splash through puddles, which is what makes up the majority of the road in its current state, since it's been dipped through wear of horses and carts under feet. So you make your way through puddles, and what is your guys' plan? Are you going to go try and find a tavern, stock up on provisions? Yeah. The shops would still hypothetically be open for like another hour or so, but yeah.
I think I'd be of a mind that we should find a place to just put ourselves down, because we've probably had a long journey.
Yeah, been a lot of walking.
Yeah.
Or riding in a cart of some kind.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Considering that no respectable D&D character will ever ride a fucking horse. Okay, yeah, so we'll go to a tavern.
Yep.
Okay. Just give me a second while this loads. I've got like an image, and it's just taking ages to load from Roll20 for some reason. There we go. Would you like to go to the Traveler's Respite, the Shed Tankard, or the Hammer and Candle?
The shared tankard sounds.
The Shepherds. The Shepherds.
Oh, I thought you said the shared. I'm like, if it's the shared tankard, that
Brothel.
sounds pretty great. Well,
Hell yeah.
Yes, but I was just saying, considering that we are now having to be new friends, new acquaintances.
Yeah, that'd be
a
very
rather
interesting.
fitting name for a place. So.
What was the last one?
The Hammer and Candle.
Huh, that sounds a little like us, to be honest.
I like that one. Yeah.
Let's go to the hand rank. I'm feeling a bit on the airy side. I'll just point us to the Hammer and Candle.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you head over to there, and you see it is a completely stone building, not even a wooden roof, and it looks more like a forge than a tavern. But the roll me a perception check as you go past.
CC.
Both of you can do that.
My perception is... I don't think either of us have very good perception, do we?
Well, I still succeeded, so get wrecked.
I'm sorry, what? What'd you say
Excuse
to me?
me? What did you say?
By the way, you know that you should actually, then again, it wasn't very far away. I was going to say you should have proficiency on perception checks, shouldn't you, Vijay?
I do not, no. I have it in a lot of other things. Not a lot of other things, but...
Just because of your inventory.
No, that doesn't give me proficiency, and I'm not wearing them right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I figured you could just wear them all the time.
I can, but it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes him look like who's the character from Watchmen?
Oh.
The owl, the eagle guy. Anyway.
I know who you're talking about.
But yes, you continue towards the entrance, and you both see at one side, covered from the rain by sort of like an overhanging section of the roof, there is a forge which seems to have not been in use for a while. It seems like there are no tools about it. It seems to be bland and left empty. Any sort of wood that was put in the stove has sort of been left to char or been completely removed for other uses, and there is sort of this warm orange glow coming from within. And Xandric, you notice that it looks like recently the doors have been, like on the front, have been changed from whatever they were, which was probably a smaller door, because you see like hastily done craftwork on sort of to the sides of it to make it into sort of these double wooden doors, which look a lot more welcoming than what you'd imagine the single door was before. And there is a sign which you can tell because you rolled a nat 20 has been sort of recarved hastily to be the Hammer and Candle. And the bit that's been recarved is the and candle. It was probably the hammer and something else.
Yeah. Interesting. Should be a nice place.
You say this is a good time for opportunity to make something of yourself.
Where?
Apparently not for a blacksmith. Ha ha! Like just let out some unhumorous laughter.
Yes, Vargal. I just hope you realize that more than likely every time you laugh, a small child dies somewhere. Just start walking into the tavern.
Okay, so as you enter, you're met by this grim atmosphere that you weren't expecting. Behind the counter, there is a very gruff-looking stout halfling leaning against the counter, and as you enter, his head just sort of like raises, and he gives you a very sort of furrowed brow, concerned look, quite sort of a hostile glance. And the 2 or 3 other individuals around the tavern who seem to be the types of farmers who don't own the farm and have to do all of the manual labor, so they're a bit more bulky.
Nice.
But they all sort of like look over at you, and they lay their eyes on you. And for the audience's perspective, this is the first time we get a fully lit, clear sight of Xandric. So, if you would like to describe how Xandric looks entering this tavern.
Yeah, so Xandric is a tiefling. He has some rather obviously as a tiefling, you know, you got the horns. They're rather overt. Like he's in no way trying to hide the fact that he's a tiefling. He's got the tail. He's got this very like sort of blindly confident expression on his face all the time, just like yes, just kind of smiling at everything he comes across, and just kind of this skip in his step that gives him an air of wistfulness or blissful ignorance, perhaps even. He doesn't look very old at all. He's probably in his lower 30s, but even so, he's done and seen some things. Suffice to say, he has experience.
Yeah. So when you walk into this tavern, do you walk in very boldly?
Ruben.
Oh, I cannot hear you.
No. I can hear you.
Yeah, good.
Oh, hello,
Yeah.
woof woof.
Hello.
I can hear you now, my friend.
Hello, with me.
I can hear you now. My
So
friend.
when you enter the tavern, do you enter sort of blissfully ignorant of all the glares, or do you enter and sort of like have that sort of skip in your step, and then it stops the second that like you notice everybody glaring at you, essentially?
Oh, the former to the extreme. I walk in, and then I just eat it up, right? Yeah.
So you just sort of like look around and you like smile at one of the guys who's like giving you sort of this harsh look, and then behind you walks Zargle. So, how do you look as you enter the Hammer and Candle?
So the first thing that you might notice at Zargle, if you are more interested in sort of bits of artwork, is if any of you guys have seen sort of those African-style scar-etched tattoos. It's where you actually cut the flesh to make it bulge out as a bumpy scar, but it's also colored.
Yes.
I have an entire sleeve of that with all manner of different types of creatures, and everything ranging from a manticore, some sort of manner of a bird that might look like it was a rock, to also a black, sort of disgusting, oozy monstrosity. Things like that. Just all these manner of majestic and horrendous beasts in very crude form etched on them. And
Cool.
You would also notice that my skin is sort of a darker grayish color, just a standard half-orc skin. But the thing is that the parts of the tips of some of my fingers and near part of the top of my head and down my neck, there are these bleached white spots that look like burns, where the color from my skin has just been completely taken away. But besides that, there's nothing really that striking about him. He's pretty average stature. He's not too big, not too small, not too tall, not too short. Average size tusks. And he's not really wearing anything too fancy. It's just very, very basic cloaks. The only thing that might draw attention to his attire is the fact that he's wearing a very crudely made half cloth, half like leather strapped contraption on his chest that carries 6 daggers way down on his chest. And they all, at the back of the daggers, are attached by cloth, so that you think that if I threw a dagger and hit it into the wall, I could pull on the cloth and bring it back to me.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, everything on him is very very subtle, but it obviously has a lot of purpose.
Yeah. Not too much stuff is just for as far as apparel. Nothing is as for
Nothing's for aesthetics.
appearance. Yeah,
Yeah,
as much
it's
as it
all
is
for
for
it's all for utility.
Whereas for your actual body, it's more the other way around. Like with the
Yeah.
with the tattoos and with everything, that's all sort of like the intimidating aura and appear and sort of that's how you have your appearance. Whereas Xandric is kind of the opposite, where he's just like
completely.
Ah,
Yes, look at me.
I wear everything on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Literally.
And something that I failed to mention, and I actually had written down funny enough. It's really simple. He's missing half of one ear, just clean slant down. Yeah, as though someone cut it off.
Do you have pointed ears or rounded ears?
Pointed.
Okay,
yeah, it'd be very apparent then.
You're a tiefling who's like one of the basically progenitors of your infernal heritage was elf, or was it like half elf or human?
More than likely elven.
Okay,
probably where I get my brashness.
But yeah, you sort of like you stride into the room. How big is Vargul, by the way? Because we and for those who are watching, just for imagination, I'm sure you've got this by now, but he is a half orc, so.
He, like I said, he's not super large, but he's definitely bigger than your average human. Because he has the unfair advantage of being an orc.
Yeah. So we have Xandric sort of like stride into the room. He gets all like the dirty glares, and then as you duck slightly to get underneath the door frame, all of the sort of miscellaneous patrons, the farmers and such, their eyes like turn towards you and are sort of like regarding you. Almost as if they're seeing if they could take you in a fight, sort of thing. Yeah. And then the owner, the halfling behind the desk, sort of like leans in, but he doesn't take his eyes. He like glances at you, Vogel, but he keeps his eyes like locked on Xandric. Yeah. What will it be, fellas?
Well, we would like a room, 2, please, as well as drinks and food, hot. Is this amicable?
He's sort of like, he looks you up and down. That'll be 5 gold for the both.
Sir. 5. Yeah, and then I'm about to haggle him, and then I realize the sheer amount of gold we've been fronted for this job.
For expenses for the job, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I just look back at Vargul. Consider this an advance to not stab me in the back. I put 5 gold on the table.
All right, then.
No, I meant 5 gold for both the room and the food. 10 gold for 2 lots.
Yeah, like, my character just sighs, pulls out another 5, like, well, way to destroy the moment, my friend. Here. Yeah, put another 5 down.
Takes the gold and like
so
quickly puts it away in case like you were going to try something.
Yeah.
So what type of drink would you like?
Something clean. Wine, if you please.
What type of wine? Some of the fancy stuff, or something more plain?
I feel the weight of my my satchel at my side, and I'm like, what do you have on the fancy side?
Just kind of look over at him and just, I'll look at him and just, I trust you have a more sophisticated palate than I do, so I'll let you order. And I'm just going to go stand over by the fire.
So much credit. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. That was nice. Yeah.
Depends how fine you're talking. We got this wine, and he pulls out just like a bottle that looks like it was corked a couple of days ago.
Okay.
And it's like, this is just standard stuff I sell these folks. Like nods around the tavern. This would be 2 silver pieces. Pulls out another bottle which has like, it's like wrapped in sort of like a very. It's like a Hesse bag, but it's like custom made for the bottle, and it's got like a sort of tie around the top that's like this red ribbon. This one is something I've been saving up. It's a bit more fancy. 10 gold pieces. And then he reaches down and pulls out another bottle. And this one is like straight up, he has to go like rummaging around, and he comes up with a bottle that has like a layer of dust on it, so you can't read the label. And he rubs his thumb across it and like turns it towards you. This stuff's from the Fallen Berg. 50 gold
damn.
per bottle.
What is the Fallen Berg?
The Fallenberg, make me a history check. Because you guys aren't from this country, you're just from nearby.
Oh shit! Why don't I have that? Whatever. Nope.
Okay. Both of you can make me a history check since you're overhearing if you want, Vargel.
I'm just, like I said, I'm just completely ignoring.
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't give a shit.
Cool. Yeah, fine. You don't know what the Fallenberg is? You can ask him. That's always fine.
I am not familiar with this term. The Fallen Bear.
Bloody foreigners. There was, about 15 years back, a sort of on the border of city or town like this one, large town we'll say, renowned for making the nicest wine in the country. It doesn't really exist anymore, so supplies are in short due. Like nods towards the bottle. Hence the 50 gold expense per bottle. I personally have 5 in my supply. He like has a very sort of proud look on his face.
Yeah.
Like the first time he smiled in the conversation is like towards his own sort of accomplishment.
Yeah. I think to myself, you got a deal. Yeah, and I put my hand in my sack, and I just pull out a handful of coins. Just
you're gonna spend the 15 the 50 gold for the
goddamn
wine?
right.
Cool. Yeah.
When in Rome, dude.
Yeah.
We who are about to die drink the fanciest wines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I will of course require 2 crystal goblets for this. Nothing else will suffice.
I think you've seen the fucking tavern. This place used to be a blacksmith, but we didn't work for Crystal. He just like looks at you.
Yeah.
And then he like his brow furrows as like he doesn't look away from you, but his brow furrows, then he looks away as you see over to one side Vargel is like taken off all of his sort of like torso dressing and is beginning to like remove whatever sort of like padding around his legs and thighs that he has on, and he's basically like stripping down almost down just to a loincloth. What the fuck is he doing?
You know what? Ignore the goblets. I appreciate your business. Yeah. I just take the bottle and go over to the table.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys have a table by the fire, and this fire is like very warm, like probably the warmest fire that you've had that doesn't appear to be magical, like in a tavern or in a restaurant sort of place.
That's cool.
So Vargel's stripped?
Yeah, I'm currently
drying his wet clothes.
hanging
like
my
he's hung
clothing.
like over the
Yeah,
of
of course. Yep. I mean, the beauty is I don't care. Yeah, I go over to the table that he was sitting at. I just put the bottle down, uncork it. Oh. I let it air out a little bit and give you a shot once you have completed your hanging.
Yeah. Well, yeah, air out. I just kind of look, sniff, and just,
What?
When the 9 hells is that? Like,
This is
look at him, when the
the
9 hells is
finest
that.
wine from whatever fucking era he just told me it was from. Just, it's good. It was expensive.
Smells like piss.
Yeah, I sniff it.
It smells almost like cherry / juniper as you sniff it.
It's
Very fruity.
aromatic to the extreme. What are you? And I'm just gonna start like chugging it a little bit.
Yeah, and this is incredibly nice. Like, as you drink, the first time it touches your tongue, the taste, which in this sort of time period, most things have been watered down. Most like alcohol that you're provided is either very you can taste like the vegetable of it, or you can or it's just like there's very little taste of it at all. This seems to have the perfect blend of the sort of richness of the alcohol with the sort of just not overbearing taste of the fruit on your tongue. And as you basically like the second it hits your tongue, it's like an over sensation. We a D4 plus 2.
You want a D4 plus 2?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, we're clarifying. You cut off every so often.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Do
6.
clarify so that the audience hears. You get 6 temporary hit points.
This is something
as you get
entirely
like
different.
bolstered by it.
Yeah. I like this wine. It is a very good wine.
The sort of farmers around the tables, a few of them, when you started undressing so, I guess unceremoniously, Vargel, some of them like straight up like avert their gazes and like look down, with like very sort of concerned furrowed brows, and like there are a couple who are sitting across from each other who start muttering, but there's still like one of them who's just like glaring at you, and his intense glare has gotten like even angrier.
Who's he staring at?
Almost. At Vargel.
I'd like to. Do I notice this?
Yes.
Obviously. Yeah, I'm gonna.
They're not being subtle about it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna.
I'm imagining that like I'm sort of face sort of away from them, you know, like but I can, you know, when you can feel somebody's gaze on the back of your head, like I'm sort of faced away from them, just sort of like sitting on a bench or something. I've got kind of my arms like up against, you know, just sitting there like watching my companion like completely enjoy his drink that I think smells. Ugh.
Yeah.
Just what is this?
Gross.
It's the lady's perfume. Is this a drink?
I don't know. I've never drank lady's perfume. You'll have to educate me. You there! Yeah, I just shout over to the person staring at Vargel. And
he doesn't respond. He just just like glaring at you now.
Yeah, of course. Is he sitting at a table with people around him?
No, he's on his own.
He's alone.
Like elbows against the table as well. Yeah. He's just sort of like head in hand, just like glaring forward.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna hold up the bottle and like, would you like a drink? It's very good. I paid a lot of good gold for this.
Spits like on the ground next to his table. I fucking earn what I drink. You look like one who's been given everything in his life, and he looks like a fucking monster.
I'm just gonna look up at you, Zandrak, and just. I don't need you to fight my battles for me.
Oh, I like fighting battles.
Especially not this one. I'm not in the business of killing farmhands.
The fuck are you trying to say? He like puts his hands on the table, it stands up. The table like gets pushed a little bit.
I don't even look at. I don't even look at him.
No, yeah. No, I'm gonna look at him very seriously. Try to be as unfazed as I can at the fact that he just did something very aggressive, and be like, "Oh, well, if you would like to know, we are trying to say that you are not, how you say, worthy meat on your bones."
He looks over to the owner of the tavern, who's like currently like got his head in his hand slightly.
Yeah.
He's like,
this poor guy.
Orbin, mind if I fucking make a mess of your bar? You're a fucking idiot, Justin. As this guy comes over to you, and we, instead of having any sort of sequence, we just get a wipe to whichever one of you has beaten him somehow, standing over him as he's like groaning on the ground, like, oh fuck.
I mean, Vargel didn't want to get involved.
He would have come up and try and hit Vargel. So if you just describe to me how you have dealt with this individual.
I know exactly what I would have done.
Oh man!
Before he got to us, I know what I would have done.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, as soon as I realize he's coming in our direction, sorcery point to subtle spell, cast confusion on him.
Okay. Yes, thank you for posting.
Yeah. So that can end however it ends.
It's a wisdom save, right?
Yes. I have a good DC.
It's a fail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then oh no.
Okay.
What's the nearest person?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people in range. So I'll say a 4 or 5 is you, a 3 is the owner of the bar, and a 1 or 2 is one of the other like farm, rough farm guys.
Within reach is meaning like within 5 feet.
So that's not as fun.
Okay, cool.
No one's within 5 feet. So
I agree with Ruben 100%.
Fuck.
Okay, yeah. So he's going to go up and punch you, Vargel. So he's going to continue. Just like you do this subtle spell.
Yeah.
As you just like move a hand behind your back.
Yeah.
And he like furrows his brow. And he's like, "Where the fuck, you dick!" He just like runs at you, Vargel, and he's gonna try and hit you in the head.
This is
so yeah. I'm assuming you. How do you dispatch this individual, Vargel?
So I'm gonna stand up and let him swing at me, and wherever his fist goes, I'm just going to lightning fast bring up my elbow, so he punches straight into just the rough bone.
Yeah. Yeah. So he punches directly towards your face, and you just like you move up your elbow, and it's not going to hit, and then you just like almost as if like in a blur, you just shift to one side. You don't even like move your legs.
Yeah.
But it seems like your form almost like blackens and becomes shadow as you move to one side, and he just punches directly into your elbow. He's like, you broke my hand, and just goes to punch you in the head. And as he does, you just like again, your form seems to like shift into shadow again, and you're just like standing in the exact same posture, only behind him now, as he stumbles and like lands in the wall, bumping his head against the wall. Turns around, he shakes his head. I'm gonna give him another save against confusion. Fails it, so sorry, not a D5, a D10. D10 is a 6. Doesn't move or take action. So yeah. He just hits his head into a wall, lands on the ground, going, "Oh fuck!" But for the audience, what we essentially get is what the audience would get from this in the show. Essentially, he's like, "Mind if I make a mess? You're a fucking idiot, Justin." And then he just like, and then it's just like a cut as he starts walking towards the camera. It just cuts to him on the ground, grabbing his head, like, "Oh fuck!" And you're just standing there, Vargel, just like basically like arms folded, like not even looking at him.
Yeah. Well, this was fun.
Yes, indeed. Commoners. Can't beat them. Well, you can, easily, but you know what I mean.
All right.
No, I just look at you. No, I don't. Like, what do you mean? No, I don't.
Yeah, the guy finishes, like stands up, and he's like holding his hand. He's like, "Fuck you, foreigners!" Kicks kicks like a stool and starts storming out. It's like, "I said you can make a mess, not just fucking kick the stool when there's not even a good fight going on." And the guy just like goes, "Fuck you, Austin," and just like walks out of the tavern.
Yeah.
I'll end confusion. I do so love meddling with the mind.
So he can find his way home at least. Like.
Yeah. I'm not an asshole.
Where the fuck do I live? Like,
Yeah. Well, there's one of them where he
So,
just moves in a random direction.
I think we'll take a break there.
Okay,
nice.
I'm going to let chat know that a tiefling or a tiefling, depending on how you pronounce it, I think we'll say pronounce it tiefling, is basically a humanoid creature, like a human or an elf or something to that effect, which has been warped by demonic magic into having essentially like being a half demon. This can either be like an incubus or succubus had sex with a human or an elf, or it can be that like a mother made like a pact to basically be like, you give your firstborn to the devils and I will give you some sort of power, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how tieflings are born.
They're pretty cool.
And
I wish
tieflings
I'd
are like
seen
demon people.